There's an important question that I always get in my online seminars about cheating, and this has to do with diet and meal plans, as well as your relationship and any other commitments or goals that you may have. It's about long-term versus short-term gratification, and it's what I call the worth it chart. So check that out. People are always asking me if it's okay to cheat on the meal plan with an occasional ice cream or an occasional pizza, and my answer depends on your level of commitment and motivation. First is your level of addiction and the ability to have control over the things that you want in your life. Now, unhealthy foods happen for me occasionally, but when they do, I make sure that it's well worth it and also that it's not getting in the way of my bigger goals. And we'll talk more about that. But more importantly, one thing I know from experience is that there are going to be times when your motivation falters and you want to eat these foods. And if you don't have a strong why in place, or an overriding motivation that's going to push you through that, such as wanting to wear that tight black dress at your high school reunion, or living as long as possible for your kids with the best energy that you can have, or even something like making your ex suffer based on how good you look, then you're going to be vulnerable during those times. And I will say I much prefer a positive motivation like energy for your kids, but I'll take whatever I can get. So if you didn't write down your why and your motivations, then go back and do that now. Because when cheating comes up for you on the meal plan that I broke down, then we're going to need it. And give as many details as possible in your list. That being said, elimination I know is a strong word for the foods that people like to cheat with. And we are going for sustainability and longevity here, and I don't want you to feel deprived. Just like I don't want people to run out and go to the gym 6 days a week because I know they're eventually going to quit. So if dark chocolate or pizza is the one thing that you need to tell yourself that you can have occasionally to be on this meal plan, then I say go for it. But just make sure that it's worth it. And this brings me to one of my favorite charts in the Clean Body and Weight Loss seminar, which is the worth it chart. And what this is based on is if you know you're going to be having something that's no good for you, then make sure that it's worth it. And what that means is if you're sitting at one of the best Italian restaurants in your city and you notice they have homemade tiramisu that day, or they have a homemade pizza and you really want it, then go for it. But if you are mindlessly and addictively sitting on your sofa and just eating bags of chips or ice cream right out of the container that's full of chemicals, then that's not at all worth it. So as you'll see here, I have health on the y-axis and happiness on the x-axis. That is that you want your health food to be sustainable or something that you like eating. And that means if you don't like vegetables, then don't decide to go on an all raw diet because it's not going to last. That's the top left here. And when you come down in health, you want to make it worth it. And that's in the bottom right. Ideally, you want to be in the top right. The bottom right is the pleasure zone. These are things that bring you a lot of happiness, but not a lot of health. And this is going to change drastically for each person. So for me, pizza is on the bottom right, but I know for many people that could cause them a lot of pain, such as someone who has a gluten intolerance or a dairy intolerance. So in their case, it's not worth it. So for them, it's going to be on the bottom left. For me, candy is on the bottom left because I don't think it tastes that good and it's not at all healthy. But I know many people who love candy, so for them it could be worth it occasionally. But having too much of it will ruin all of the gains that you made in working out and eating right, making it not worth it. Addictions of any kind wind up on the bottom left, including stimulants like cigarettes, alcohol in excess, but also sugar, soda, chips, bread, and video games as an example, or anything that you do that's bad for you on an unconscious level because you're not really enjoying it. So realize which direction you're moving in with this and always try to keep it above the center line unless it's worth it. And this can be said for all of the things that you do in your life. So if someone's a cheater in their relationship, if they think about the damage that it could possibly do, does it really fall into the bottom right here? Or is it something that's not really worth it based on the consequences? If you have that one person that you know is no good for you, but you keep going back to them, is it really that much pleasure or is it an addiction? Is jumping off a cliff that much fun versus the risk? Seems like all these things will be on the bottom left for most people. Think about sitting on the couch instead of working out. Where does that land for you? For me, it's on the bottom left. For the most part, keep your eating habits above the center line because that signifies health. The problem is when people are new to health or they get on a trend, often they want to do it all at once. These are people who've never worked out before and suddenly they want to go to the gym every day. or they think in order to lose weight, they only have to eat foods that don't taste good. The problem with this is that when they break, and they always do, they go from being on the top left to the bottom right where they have no boundaries at all. This is why I have so many recipes on healthy foods that are easy to make and taste great, because they're sustainable. You won't miss the old foods that you had because these replace them. But if you're going to do something unhealthy, just make sure that it's actually great. So if you're going to eat pizza, make sure it's the best pizza in the city. And to that, I would add, make sure it's the best pizza in New York City, but I know not everybody has access. So when you get a meal plan that you feel that's sustainable for you, you get to the point where you live here in the top right. And the people that are here rarely, if ever, go to the bottom left, but they might occasionally go to the bottom right. And what they try to do is bring the foods that they find on the bottom right up to the top right. And you could do this with my healthy recipes like quinoa pasta, or my date ball, or brownie, or ice cream recipe, or the fig donuts, and so many more. You'll easily be able to do this with my healthy snack series because they taste great and they're good for you. And a lot of this is about willpower versus discipline. Now, we'd all love to have willpower, and what that means is, for the occasion that we want it, we have the unhealthy food in our cabinet, like dark chocolate or something like that, and the rest of the time we don't have to worry about not eating it. But the reality is, that's really not possible for most people. I have a friend that tells me if he has chocolate in his house, he feels like it's beckoning him, so he has to throw it out, and he happens to be one of the most disciplined people I've ever known. So know your reality, and what that means is you have to move from willpower to discipline and not have it in your house at all. And that's why I like to bring foods from the bottom right to the top right so that you don't have to crave them anymore or feel like you have to restrict yourself. And to go even deeper, this has to do with instant versus delayed gratification. And what that means is that the unhealthy things that we do, such as eating unhealthy foods or drinking in excess or playing video games or watching too much TV, might have some immediate gratification, but it's always tied to shame and guilt and other regrets like that, versus delayed gratification that is much more satisfying, even though it takes much longer, because it has no regret tied to it, and it's also associated with your goals and your mission statement, such as looking great at that beach party with your friends, and it lasts for so much longer. And when you start thinking in terms of this, you get instant gratification from saying no to the things that you know are unhealthy in your life, such as the foods or other things that don't match with your long-term goals and commitments. Now, people who practice delayed gratification are proven to do better in life in terms of their wealth, their health, their happiness, and their relationships. In Alcoholics Anonymous, they say to take it one day at a time. Today, I'm not going to drink. And you can replace the word drink with whatever your addiction is. And that could be sugar or fried foods or fast foods, or thinking that you're going to be saving money by buying non-organic foods, or accepting less than what you deserve, or listening to negative self-talk such as, what is the point of this diet? Why am I doing this? Or you're always going to be overweight, or some non-factual information that you've convinced yourself of like that. And with that, I'll leave you with the question that we all need to face on a sometimes daily basis, and that is, how many times are you going to miss the lesson that you keep needing to repeat? I hope you found this helpful. I'll see you in the next one.
More hacks and tips like this can be found in my Clean Body and Weight Loss Seminar and the 21-Day Energy Meditation Program. There you'll get meal plans, video recipes, exercises, or meditation techniques to eliminate bad energy and cut off negative ties that have been holding you back. All this can be found at Farr.com. And for more videos on health and wellness related to mind, body, and spirit, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell. I hope this was helpful for you. Good luck.